The boss, aka Huda, gets real and intimate with her business struggles, and we are days away from Mona's wedding. Stay tuned.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey! I always wait for that drop to hit. Okay.
You always want to drop it like it's hot.
Oh, all the time. Want to drop it like it's hot? Drop it like a boss. Hey, Huda Beauties. Welcome to the Huda Boss After Show here at AfterBuzz TV. We are chatting today, episodes 15 and 16, and we are delighted to be here because we have a lot to chat about. But of course, I can't do this by myself. Well, I could, but I can't. But right here with me, I have Crystal McLaughlin.
That's right.
She is a makeup artist and Huda Boss lover extraordinaire and everything that has to do with makeup. So if you guys have any questions throughout the show, I have my live chat up, and you can ask any questions as well to Crystal.
Right, absolutely. And also I will be bringing up some makeup tips and, of course, my favorite segment, which is Manifesting Mona.
Yes, we have, like I said, our live chat up. My name is Maite Carrillo. Luisa couldn't be here with us today, but she will definitely be joining next week. She's out there having fun. I can't remember where she's at, but she's traveling somewhere really, really fun this weekend for her friend's birthday. But let's get started and chat a little bit about episode 15 and 16. What did you think about episode 15?
You really want to know? I feel like it's so funny. We watch the episodes and then you ask us that, and I feel like I'm always saying how they repeat everything, so then I notice that I'm repeating what I'm saying, which is like, I'm lightly disappointed. Again. The episode is again about the same thing, which is she's not able to launch her products.
Yeah.
Dom and Mona's relationship. The photo shoots they do. I mean, it's literally every episode is pretty much the same thing. I want to see a little more. I want to know who these women are, like outside of their makeup. Yes, it's great. I want to talk about your makeup. Wonderful. I'm glad you started your brand, but I want to know who you are. Like I want some meat and potatoes, because we want to know why, or at least I want to know why you became the person that you became based off of your brand.
Right. There was a lot of, I think there's a certain confusion with the title because it's like Huda Boss, and I want to see Huda as a boss. Right. I want to see her being creative. But I understand that there's also the struggle when you're feeling in so many shoes in your own business. Like you try to be the creative person, you try to be the CEO, and there's a lot of pressure. So I think that part of episode 16 was the one that I really enjoyed and I wanted to get to know more.
Right.
It's like the nitty gritty, right? Like the meat and potatoes of what you were talking about. But episode 15 was titled, Will Mona and Dom Be Good Parents? But I feel like it was beyond Mona and Dom being good parents. There was just like that little segment of them, being babysitting Noor, and they're getting closer to their wedding date. But it was a lot more than that. I think we saw, the shoot that Huda had, and she's the neon palette shoot. She's very, very hands-on, and I think we got to see a little bit of that. What did you think about her being in different places at the same time? She was doing her makeup, she was fixing other people's makeup, and at the same time, she was trying to test it on herself. It was a lot, don't you think?
This woman needs to take a seat. She needs to hire the people that are perfect for that role. Mm-hmm. She's trying to control too many things. You cannot be in all places at once. I mean, this episode you said is called what? Mona and
Will Mona and Dom be good parents?
It should be, will Mona and Huda be good parents to their brand? Like, really, that's what this episode is about. Like, she's trying to parent her brand, but like, it takes a village to raise a child. I feel the same way about this, industry. Like any industry you're in. I mean, being an actress, like I don't book all my, my roles. I have an agent, and then you get a manager, and then you have a hair person, and then you have someone who does PR. You need a bunch of people to back you up. And I think what Chris is trying to teach her is like, you can't do everything. You not doing your job there is affecting, or you trying to do too much there, you're affecting our relationship and the family dynamic. And she's, even with Mona, she's meddling too much. She's trying to do too many things, trying to control.
Yeah.
And really what she needs to do is sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to delegate certain things to certain people, and I'm going to let them do their jobs, and I'm not going to get in the middle. I get it. I think that, you know, it's important to be involved, and I get that. Like, I'm sort of a control freak when I'm a perfectionist. I totally 100% get that.
Right.
But I think what makes a brand really stand out is seeing that there's some room to grow. And I don't know if there's any more growth here if she continues the way she's going.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot, like I mentioned, it's a big responsibility that she takes going through having all of these different elements.
Right.
But at the same time, I think she does need to take a step back, like you mentioned. But it's just, I've seen personally how much, like, this is her baby. It's her business. And there is no way that she cannot meddle into all of these different things, because no one can manage your business other than yourself.
But you can have this checklist of stuff and have people check in with you and make sure that they're doing their job. I mean, any successful CEO, any person that owns their own company, a lot of people aren't their own CEOs of their company.
Yeah.
For that reason. And look at Apple. I mean, there's so many, I don't know. I feel like if she doesn't let go a little bit, she's going to start going downhill either in health, or like the business is going to go down, her family life. I mean, she needs to let go a little bit of this control. And it's good that she wants to be a part of every aspect, but you be set in one position, let everyone come to you, and you let them check in with you and say, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then you approve it. You know what I'm saying? Like, why, I don't know. I don't own a company like that, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I did, that's not how I would run it.
You know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of Sophia Amoruso. She was the girl boss, and she started Nasty Gal. And then I read her book, and then there was a certain part where she's like, I can't handle everything. I need to hire a CEO. And when she did that, she realized that person, it took off to a certain extent, but then it just wasn't the same for her, because she lost that sort of passion, and then everything kind of came crumbling down.
Right.
So, you know, in the book she kind of says like how she takes guilt for that, and, you know, it was just too much for her to handle. So sometimes I think you go through these trials and tribulations, and you're like, I know what I want, and there's some things that I can't deal with. So I hope that Huda gets to that realization where she's like, I need to hire a CEO. I need, you know, what's more important? Her family, her business, her creativity. Like, I think, and it's also great too, we got to see Kira, which is her life coach. This is something new. We hadn't seen her life coach, I don't think, ever in an episode, right? So she was really, really open, and I loved this side of Huda. Yeah. It looked like she was just stripped down. She wasn't wearing any makeup. She was sitting in like the middle of her closet, having a conversation with her life coach. She's like, I can't handle it. It is too much for me. She's like, I am not happy anymore. And that's where we saw her really open up.
Right.
Do you think this is a conversation that she's had with Chris, her husband?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think they're very, one things that I love about watching the show, you know, one of the things is that her and Chris have this amazing communication that is constantly going back and forth. Like, they say what's going on their mind. I mean, even when he went to go pick her up, she was like, he's like, what's wrong? Immediately, he knew something was wrong. And most men would be like, oh, nothing wrong. Okay, cool. You know?
You're good? Okay.
You're good? Okay, cool.
Great.
You said you're cool. You're cool.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, what's wrong? I know something's wrong. And then she says, you know, or she vocalizes how she's feeling. And I love that they do that. I think that's why they've been successful, because they do communicate. There isn't this like, I'm better than you type of thing. It's like calling each other out on their ish.
Yeah.
And, you know, moving forward, you know, he calls her out on her stuff, and she called him out on his stuff, you know, when he didn't follow
we're
through
going to get
with,
into that.
You know,
I love that
product.
part. Yeah.
I mean, it's balance. You can't have your yin without your yang.
Yeah. And they definitely do balance each other out. Before we jump into episode 16, we just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in every single week here at the Huda Boss After Show at AfterBuzz TV. We are a buffet, as Luisa likes to say, of various TV shows, after shows here at AfterBuzz TV. If you're watching us on YouTube, please be sure to give us a thumbs up. Leave us your comments in the comments section. We love to keep the conversation going.
That's right.
We give our social media handles at the end of the show, so if you want to reach out to us, please do so. We love talking all different elements of this show, whether it's makeup, whether it's life, whether it's business. I know you all have a lot to share. If you're hearing us on iTunes, please be sure to give us 5 stars and as well leave us your comments there.
That's right.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be the ESPN of TV Talk.
Yes.
But with that, let's jump into episode 16. It was titled, How to Tell Your Husband He's Wrong. And when I read this, I'm like, uh-oh, something happens between Huda and Chris. And indeed, there's a big problem with Nymph. This part, I think, was the most real thing that I've watched in this entire season. It was just Huda in her element. You can tell how upset she was. So basically, Nymph, right? It's a body makeup, and
which is amazing.
Which is amazing. It looks really great.
Remember, she talked about her inspiration being Beyonce, her legs.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you see that there was a moment, right, like a clip before they really got into the problem where Huda put it all over her face, and her face was just glowing. It was amazing. If I would have watched that as soon as she posted it on Instagram, I probably would have been one of the first ones to purchase this this product. So it went out of stock.
Right.
And now to restock everything, it's going to take 5 months.
4 months.
4 months, right. So Huda was pissed about it, and she's like, you know, the momentum that Nymph could have had, we probably won't be able to get it again because everything's out of stock and people want this. And there was I wrote this quote down. She said, and this is a meeting that she was having with Chris and, I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name.
It was with Chris and Chris's partner for the business, and she says, as a chairwoman of the board, Nymph will never be as good as it could have been.
Right.
Like that, it hit me, and I'm not even part of this board.
It pissed me off.
What did you think?
Oh, it pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you know, Chris is always saying, oh, you're spending too much money, you're spending too much money, you're spending too much money. And then now he's dropping the ball. You know, he's always the one that's pointing the finger and telling her where she's effing up. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, finally, you know, I hate to say this, but, you know, you messed up, Chris. You did.
Did you see him, though? He was like, yeah, well, you know what? Next time we'll know better. And she's like, I don't think so. You're gonna own up to this.
Right.
Because she had said, we need more stocks. Like, this is how much we need. We need more product. We can't just launch this with, I think she said 200?
Right.
200,000?
It was 200,000. It was they wanted 700,000. And I think, you know, it's funny because this brings up something that you asked me earlier. Their communication with each other is usually what I think is pretty good. But I guess maybe not so much in the business aspect, because she had said during that moment, I'm the one that knows the client. I'm the one that's there. I know what they need, and I'm telling you what they need. And I told you they needed this, and this is how much I needed.
Right.
And he was like, he didn't know what to say.
He didn't know what to say.
And so that's why I say it's important to get people outside of owning the business, because their heart is in it, but more of like their mind's in it. So they're just coming from a different perspective. It's kind of like love, right? Like sometimes you get lost in love.
You always get lost in love.
You know, this is her lost in her love. He is also invested in that aspect too.
Right.
So if you find someone that can think straight and isn't thinking from an emotional standpoint, I think this is where they'll be successful. You know, I don't know. I feel like what they need to do is find somebody who's worked in this type of business before and implement them somehow. I don't know where, how, you know, like I said, I don't run a business like that, but someone to kind of manage everything and say, hey, you know what, this is what needs to be done. And at this time in this place, like PR does that, right? So she needs someone like that, but just for managing her business.
Right. Yeah, because it gets really difficult, because I think Huda said, she's like, if you weren't my husband, I would really be pissed off at you right now.
I would too.
I was like, I cannot believe she did not blow up.
Let
I
me
wanted
ask
her
you-
to blow up.
Right. So let me ask you, at that board meeting, who was the he was like Australian, this guy. He was a brand new guy who was on the board. Did you see him? And he was the one that was bringing up the numbers. He was bringing up the numbers about.
I don't remember.
He was the one that was saying, "Oh, they wanted 700,000."
Oh yes, I think he was.
Because I've never seen him before.
I think he was part of the
Distribution.
No, the where they get everything made, their products.
Oh, okay. I liked
something
him. I
closer to
liked
the
how he
distribution.
like was taking charge, and he was listening to everything. But like when she would say something, he kind of like, I don't know if that. You could tell he really knew what was happening, and I feel like if she implemented someone like that into her business, oh my gosh, sky's the limit.
Well, that conversation was for the eyeliner launch. Right. So because the eyeliner launch is really big, let's jump into that because, we get to see Huda in her element as well.
Right.
And she's like, what's the problem? Is there another problem? What's going on? And they can't fulfill as well the demand that the eyeliner has. And one of her goals, and she said it, she's like, I need this eyeliner. If it's between the Middle East and US, she's like, I'd much rather launch this product in the Middle East. And she's like, because it's a statement for women. The eyeliner is a statement. It's a piece. It's it's everything
Again,
for them.
she's thinking too much from her heart.
But that's amazing that she's giving that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like they said, you would be taking it out of 600 stores, okay, that needed it here in the U.S. That could break your relationship. You got to think like a businesswoman when you run a business. You can't think from an emotional standpoint, and I get that. I love that she's like that, but this is not the time nor the place to be doing that. When she grows her business like maybe Kylie Jenner has, then maybe she can do that. Maybe she'll have the freedom to do that. Maybe they can help her. I mean, come on.
Merge onto with Kylie. I'm sure she's. I think she's done.
the mom.
I don't know
The
if she's
mom.
done.
Chris Jenner.
Oh my gosh, Chris can do anything.
They need a Chris Jenner. They need a Chris Jenner. I'm serious. I heard she's ruthless, but she gets her stuff done.
Yeah.
She's really, really good at what she does.
Right.
And they need someone like that.
And they need a Mama Chris up in there. But it was really interesting because it was really great for for viewers to see where her heart is and how much she wanted to help her community. But then at the same time, she would lose this whole deal she had with Sephora.
Right.
So you're right. It's a give and take. But I don't know. Maybe she can split it halfway, and then she'll still be able to have both of them. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, I think the best thing would be is to give those products to the influencers over in her area or Dubai or wherever she wants to, in the Middle East, anywhere she wants to do it. Given to the influencers, and then give everybody else, in the rest of the part of the world that you see the products really launching. Give them the majority, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's great that you have a heart and like you want to do things a certain way and you're living from that place, but that's not going to keep your business afloat. It's not going to pay the bills, and it's going to ruin future relationships, and then you're not going to even have Huda Boss or Huda Beauty.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
No, I'm being serious. She needs to wake up. That's it.
Yeah, it's a give and take situation, but she's definitely. I do feel that she is on it. I got to see it in this last episode as well. She's very heavily involved in everything, which is a great thing. And hopefully we're able to see this flourish in the next few episodes because the season's almost over. But let's jump into the conversation that Huda had with her dad. She was talking about Mona's marriage, and she's like, hey, once they why are you pressuring them to get married? I don't think they're ready to get married. And I'm like, wait a minute. Last episode, you were having a conversation with Dom and saying that they were ready to get married. And now she's having a conversation with her dad saying, I don't think they're ready to get married. Stop putting so much pressure on them. And they literally are 10 days away from their Islamic wedding. So then Huda says, hey, can't they have sex? And he's like, no, they can't have sex until their second wedding.
Did you see
his face?
Ooh, it
What
stopped.
did you think about
I thought
that?
he was going to have a stroke, this poor man. Oh, he's so cute. I love, here's one thing I really love, and I think this is going back to the communication thing. Huda and Chris have such great communication with each other, probably because she has such a great relationship with her father. And I think that really shows, who she is as a person. It really shows where she's coming from, and she really, is a strong person because of that. I don't think you're I mean, I don't live in the Middle East, but I feel like, growing up in the Bay Area, I did grow up around a lot of different types of cultures, and you don't really see women being able to voice their opinion in the Middle Eastern culture. It's mainly, based on, the men. And so I love that first and foremost. I wanted to go ahead and share that. But I just thought it was so cute how, he keeps it real, and so does she. And they're able to have this conversation, and, it does get him thinking. I love that she's telling him how she feels, but I also feel conflicted because, did you really feel that way when you told Dom, or did you feel like how you're feeling right now, which is what you're telling your father, which is you don't feel that they're ready, because now you're not being authentic, and you're priding yourself in being authentic with your business. You're not being authentic with your family, which is more important than your business.
Yeah, I think she was just questioning her dad and trying to get a little bit deeper into that conversation.
Right.
But I do think, I think if I would see her genuine side, I think she was very genuine with her conversation with Dom, and how she was like, I really want you to be part of this family. I want you to feel welcomed and everything. So I think it was really out of the blue for her to have this conversation with her dad. And I think if it was just to bring the topic of sex, we could have just left it at that topic.
Right.
We didn't have to dig in and her say, I don't think they're ready. Because I'm sure that's very hurtful for Mona to hear as well.
Right.
Especially because you're getting married to someone in 10 days. Like, you would want their support in some type of way.
And my question is, too, what is it that she feels that they're not ready for? Like, what is it that she's seen that she's not divulging as to why that she doesn't feel that they're ready?
Yeah, because we love Dom.
I love Dom, too. That's what I'm saying. What are you not telling us? I want to know. I want to know the dirt. Who knows the dirt?
I was thinking to be like the type where, like, does anybody have, can anybody say that they don't allow
can someone like drop us a DM and give us like a little backstory? Did anyone used to date Dom? We need to hear from you.
That would be so juicy.
Yeah, like
someone from the past.
Let's find out who Dom really is. Okay, we're gonna be little investigators.
I love Dom. I love Dom and Mona and their relationship. I hope they do end up getting married.
I hope so too.
Yeah. We jump into Mona. She has a focus group for her fragrance. So it looks like, she's doing really good and things are working out for her. They go to Dubai Cares, right? And it's a program that helps pack school supplies for kids in Africa.
Which is amazing.
Right. And then during that entire scene, she brings Noor, which is her daughter, everybody from Huda Beauty, and it's like a family affair, and you can see them all working, and the dad is also there, and he sees Mona and Dom getting really close. That was the first time we had seen them hug and do all of that, and he's like, you're lucky your mom isn't here, because I feel like he does a lot of the things, and he's very strict because he's very respectful towards his wife and his wife's culture, and that's like a whole different ball game for everyone. So it's very interesting to see that. What did you think about Mona's focus group and how she was kind of going around testing her Kayali fragrance?
What do you mean?
So there was like a certain part where she had two fragrances that she was testing, and one of them was her favorite fragrance, and the other one was her not so favorite one, but everybody kept on choosing her favorite one. Do you think she'll end up...
they chose the other one.
Sorry, they chose the one that wasn't favorite to her.
Right.
Do you think she'll end up choosing the one that's favorite, like her favorite?
I think she will. I think she will. I mean, here's the thing. I think why Huda and Mona have been so successful is that they listened to their intuition, and that she brought that up.
She did.
She's like, it's great that people are giving me feedback about what they feel about this fragrance, but at the end of the day, like, I feel a certain type of way about it, and, I can't help it.
It is what it is.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like, maybe she is wrong. Who cares?
Do we know where these fragrances are? I would love to like smell one.
Oh, I don't know.
Are they on Sephora? She probably doesn't have.
I don't know. If you guys know, let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments
maybe we can go get
the
a
way
sample.
that they were spraying it and showing, I was like,
and it's gonna smell differently on each person too.
Yeah.
Like, that was another thing. I was like watching her spraying it on people. I'm like, okay, why don't you let them walk around? Because it seemed like it was most of the coworkers that were getting it sprayed on them. Let them spray it on themselves, one on each side, and then let them walk around and let it set into their body chemistry. Come back in 2 hours and say which one you like. Because really, that's how you're supposed to. Because it's gonna mesh with all your hormones and all your fragrance, your natural fragrance from your body. So I'd be interested in going and doing a little sample.
Yeah. There is a pro tip, which is coming up right now in her special segment. Let's jump into our special segment. Our special segment is our top Huda Pro Beauty tips.
Yes.
And for this special segment, we like to highlight the pro beauty tips that Mona and Huda give together, sometimes separately. And so for episode 15, she said her pro beauty tip was how to maximize a neon look.
Right.
I've never worn neon makeup, so this was actually really interesting. She said prime with white, and you put the primer underneath, and then on top of the primer, that's where you add the neon, and you can see it really just pop. Yeah. Is that something that you do too?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I always, when people say, how come the color doesn't look the way it's supposed to? That was like the number one thing I used to get when I used to work doing makeup. And I'd be like, let me show you. And then I'd put on a primer. And I do have one that's not white, but it's like a cream white. And I put it on, and then I dab whatever color it was, and they'd be like, wow, that's what I need. That's what I'm looking for. I always use a primer on my eyelids. I think it's super important. It helps it stay in place. It helps it not fade. And not only that, the color that you see in the palette is the color that you're going to get on your eye.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What about concealer? You can't use concealer?
You can, but you're also going to get the color's not going to be as vibrant, right? So like today I use concealer on my eyelids. A lot of the times too, what I've noticed with primers that are made for your eyes, they tend to dry your eyelids out. So I try not to use it unless like I really, really need to, because I don't want to get old, right? So, so of course it is creamy, but because it has that effect of like keeping your product on, think about that. It's kind of drying you out. So I just try not to use it every single day and just use, what I can, on special occasions.
Well, thank you for that, Crystal.
Yeah.
Another pro beauty tip of the day was given by Mona, and she says if you're gonna spray, a perfume, you spray it on your collarbone, your hair, and your belly button. And she's like, I know that sounds really weird, but these are areas you tend to get sweat a lot. So these are where your pores are open and where the scent goes down. She's like, you want to smell good. You don't want to smell.
Oh, girl, let me tell you.
Smell funky.
I put it on my wrists.
I do that too.
Okay, behind my ears.
I do that.
Okay. Behind my like there's a little dip in the back of your head. I always put it there. Okay. Right in here, like in between the tatas.
Okay.
Behind the knees.
Oh, I didn't know about that
and
one.
the ankles.
Oh, so as you're walking.
Yeah, you just.
I love putting it on my hair.
Yeah, I do too. But I try not to put too much because when you have like perfume and if someone's walking past you, you're like, oh my God, their perfume is so strong. I don't like that. It should be subtle where you're like, I think someone's wearing something.
Yeah,
it
smells
sort of
good.
Mysterious, right? And another pro tip that I use for myself is I mix my perfume. So I never wear one. I use at least 2 or 3, and I'll depending on like the season, the weather. I'll just kind of pick
where
a
you're
couple
going.
things. Yeah, girl.
I know.
There you go.
Gotta have one for every occasion.
That's right. It's like wearing an outfit. It really is.
Yeah, it's the good stuff. That's where you gotta put it.
The good stuff.
The good stuff. All right, let's jump into Crystal. You have our special segment, right?
Yes. So we've got our Manifesting Mona segment. I really love sharing the segment because I think it's really important, even though we talk a lot about, episodes that we watch here at AfterBuzz TV, sometimes we can get off track and get a little negative. I mean, this is our job. We're supposed to be talking about what's going on, and sometimes it can go down a different path. And so, Manifesting Mona is about us sharing something that we love about this specific show. And Mona is so positive all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why we named it after her. But what I loved in the episode with Dom and Mona was how Dom is just always showing Mona how to have fun.
Oh, yeah.
When him and Noor were messing around with the paint and she was trying to be a perfectionist, He's like, no, go ahead, dip your hand in it.
Yeah.
And I love that because I think we forget as we get older that, again, going back to like how Huda is trying to control. You're not having fun anymore. And I think, you know, big believer that when you have fun and you let go, things just really flourish in your life. And I feel like, you know, even as positive as Mona is, sometimes she even forgets. We're all human beings. So I love that he's able to balance her out. He teased her about not brushing his teeth after, you know, having dessert. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah.
And so I think they're a perfect couple because they're able to give and take. And he's always kind of like bringing her back to a place where she feels happy and comfortable. Not that it's his job, but I think that's what makes a good couple, is that someone that brings you back to your happy place.
Yeah.
So
you totally took mine. That was a really good one. I mean, that's kind of the highlight that we saw in these two episodes. Yeah. But also when they're in their confessionals and they're both seated next to one another, you can tell she's genuinely happy.
Right.
And he, you know, she could say something like, I want 10 kids. And he's like, well, the more the merrier.
Right.
He's not like, no, I don't want to have 10 kids. Like, are you kidding me?
He's so endearing.
Yeah.
They're so on the same page. I love that. The way he looks at her.
So in love. Is this what Tinder gets you in Dubai?
Right.
I always say that. Like, wow. This is amazing.
I also want to bring up the video that Huda does at the end, and it was called the perfect complexion. It was with I believe her name was Opie, and she was a Nigerian makeup artist. And basically what Huda was telling her is like how you get a perfect complexion. I loved how she spoke about how when she started doing colors for the foundation that the companies that she would work with were adding in black, and she's like, wait a second, that's not what skin tones are like there's red and there's yellow and there's blue. And so I really love that. I also loved one of the biggest things that I really loved, because I always hear about people baking, and I do not bake. I do not bake.
Okay.
It dries your skin out. And I always am like, why would you want to do that? Because you can see the crease. So I love that she gave her an alternative. She told her to take the sponge and just dab whatever she had there. And honestly, Opie, I think her name was, her skin looked amazing. She was super cute. She was super outgoing, and I just loved the energy that she brought to that that segment. So
she gave really good pointers. She
did. She did. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, that was a good one. I watched it as well.
I wish we could. I don't know if they show like anybody's Instagram on there, but
I don't think so.
But that would be something to add on there, to follow that person who, you know, Huda has on. That'd be really cool.
That would be cool. Yeah. Just to add a little touch.
Something.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Crystal, for that. And that is all. That is it for our show today, where we recapped episodes 15 and 16. Stay tuned for next week's top 17 and 18 episodes. But before we say our goodbyes, Crystal, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Yes, you guys can find me at Crystal823 with an I, not with a Y. I can't wait for next week's episode. Hopefully something different transpires. I want to see this wedding!
I know! That's another thing.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And also, like, if you have something that you want to share that's super positive that you've seen about the episodes, or something that we don't know about, please DM us. We love stuff like that.
Yes. Thank you for that. And my name is Maite Creo. You can find me everywhere at This Is Maite. That is at This Is Mayte. We will see you all here next week. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.